Hi, Joanne Jervis. You are Managing Director in Daiichi Sankyo, and you are Head of Specialty Business Division. Cardiovascular diseases are the leading cause of death in the West, resulting in about 1.7 million deaths here in Europe alone. In order to address the heavy economic impact, about 300 billion euros a year, the new European Commission intends to launch a European strategy against cardiovascular disease, calling on member states to adopt or update cardiovascular health measures within their own strategic agendas. What do you think the must-have items should be?
I think, as you say, cardiovascular disease is still the leading cause of death in Europe and in Italy, and we welcome this announcement by Europe to do this. And we don't know what will be in the plan yet, but we do have a template of other plans, in particular Europe's Beating Cancer plan, which was very thorough and robust in the measures that it set out. It had a very concrete plan with resources required, and we feel it would be good to model the cardiovascular plan on that sort of template. I think there's three areas that are really important for the plan. The first is adherence to treatments and therapies. With all chronic diseases over a long period of time, it's difficult for patients to adhere to treatments and therapies, but it has a huge impact if they don't. And in Italy, this may be a surprising figure, but for me it's not, because I've seen it in practice. 50% of patients don't adhere to their therapy over time. And not only does that have a big impact on the outcomes for the patient, it also has a big impact on the economics of the NHS, because then you have a higher risk of events, you have more hospitalisations. So a focus on adherence to treatment, it, for me, not only improves outcomes, but also helps with sustainability within the health service. I think the second point is around innovation and being able to adapt and adopt innovation for patients and for clinicians. From a patient's perspective, there is a lot of innovation now that can really help them with their therapies, can help monitor them. We wear them on our wrists now. But also with clinicians, with virtual reality, augmented reality, there is a lot of opportunities to improve care and improve patient outcomes. And I think that needs to be within the plan, and it needs to be a sustainable plan to be able to help. I think the third part is also around gender health and the fact that there needs to be a recognition that within cardiovascular care there is different requirements. When you look, women live longer than men, but they don't live as well as men, actually. And they are still the biggest caregivers. And they tend really to look after other people rather than themselves a lot of the time. So I think there needs to be a recognition that more women actually die of cardiovascular disease than men, and also that the symptoms can be different. So there needs to be an awareness of, within the female population, of what to look for, to look after themselves better, but also within the medical profession and the greater population, that if I turn up in an emergency room with a cardiovascular event, I may present differently to a man, and therefore my outcomes may be worse actually than a man. So there needs to be a focus on gender health, and I think that's really important that gets recognised in the document.
You made a clear point, raising this concern and raising this crucial and sensitive note, I think. What do you think it is important to raise awareness at this point of cardiovascular health plan in women?
I think it's crucial and vital that we are more aware. Traditionally in the past, I remember being taught actually that cardiovascular was a male disease, and that myocardial infarctions, for example, happen more than men and than women. That actually isn't true, and the evidence would show the opposite to that. The problem is there is a lack of awareness of the symptoms, of screening in women for cardiovascular disease, not only in Europe but in Italy. And this has to be identified and it has to be dealt with. I think women do tend to neglect themselves a little bit when it comes to cardiovascular health. And because a lot of cardiovascular diseases are silent, you have to actively go and have screening for a lot of cardiovascular diseases. But it's really important that women recognise this and recognise the symptoms. I find in 2025, it's unacceptable that I can turn up in an emergency department and I won't be treated as effectively as a man because the symptoms are not recognised in the same way. So I think it's really important, and we're doing, we're trying to do this. We're trying as a company to raise awareness of this. We have programmes ongoing for this, and it's something that I feel very strongly and passionately about. There's also, if we go back to when a lot of the big cardiovascular studies took place, there was a lack of women represented in these studies. And although it's being addressed going forward, there is still a lack of women represented in cardiovascular studies for lots of reasons. So also when it comes to research and innovation, we need to make sure that we include more women in these studies to make sure that we have the most up-to-date information to give the best outcomes for women.
Thanks. Can you describe Daiichi Sankyo's commitment to cardiovascular and what added value do you manage to create for patients, for the patient journey?
So our heritage is in cardiovascular, and since 2002, we've treated over 40 million patients in Europe for cardiovascular disease, and whether that be for hypertension, whether that be for venous thrombolysis, for atrial fibrillation, or for hyperlipidemia. But our heritage goes back a long way in cardiovascular disease, and one of our founding presidents, Takamina-san, he actually discovered and isolated adrenaline in 1900, which is still used today, actually in emergency departments for heart conditions. It's still used. So we have a strong heritage in this. What we're trying to do also is to run programs to help to commit to go beyond the pill, if you like, as well as our innovative medicine. We're a company who our DNA is in R&D, and we put 22% of our profits back into R&D, and we're very committed to the science of R&D. But we try and go beyond the pill. So we look at programs where we can raise awareness of cardiovascular disease. We recently, which I found quite funny, we held a flash mob in the centre of Rome, giant cholesterol balls that were bumping into people to try and raise awareness, and we offered screening. We have our Dragon Boat Festival where we combine the oncology side of our business with cardiovascular, and again we offer screening. We try. Health literacy is also a big thing for us, because for patients a lot of the time the information is given in a format that they don't understand, and we talk in medical terms, and we do it in the pharmaceutical industry as well. So we do a lot of work on health literacy to try and put stuff into the format that patients can understand easily. So we've created Facebook communities, we've put some stuff onto Amazon Prime, we have social media campaigns, and we also do things like we ask the experts. So we have talks available that are very much in a patient language to be able to help patients, in particular around adherence and screening, because a lot of cardiovascular disease starts much earlier than when it's realised. And probably half of it can be prevented through lifestyle. So we do a lot of work around prevention also to help people to help themselves. I heard a lovely description recently of something, and I don't know if people will remember Tamagotchis, where you had the little Tamagotchi. It was a little electronic animal and you had to keep it alive. My children had them. Someone told me recently that now the Tamagotchi is us, and we wear technology that helps keep us alive longer, actually, which I thought was a really nice definition of where we've gone with innovation and technology. So we also try to support this, and we try to help this. And we've created, not only within Italy, but also in our European environment, We have a department called the D Space, which is our digital innovation space, and we invested in this 2 or 3 years ago, and the sole purpose of that is to try and bring new innovation to market that can support patients and clinicians to improve outcomes.
Right.